Hey man, it's me, Kevin Smith, Silent Bob, and all those terrible Jay and Silent Bob type pictures, man. You're listening to Drop the Mic, the only podcast that I listen to that I'm not a part of. Every podcast I listen to, I usually talk on it, but not fucking Drop the Mic. That's where I'm like, let me hear what the boys have to say. And now, we drop the mic.
Welcome back to our humble San Diego podcast. I'm your host, Wesley Swanson, and you've tuned in to Drop the Mic, episode 324, Quick Cuts, where I'll be running through some of our usual intro segments without a film focus. So sit back and let's get into it, shall we?
And now for a special news report, brought to you by Drop the Mic.
All right, first up, some pop culture news for the week. Deadpool 3 has announced that Jennifer Garner will reprise her role as Elektra, and with Ben Affleck rumored to be seen on set as well, it looks like Daredevil will likely have a cameo at some point too. We also got a cool screen cap of Hugh Jackman as Logan from the set. But the real kicker is he's donning the classic Wolverine uniform. That's right, the yellow and blue uniform that we all know and love. A very nice surprise for a longtime X-Men fans, to say the least. In some other Marvel-related news, James Gunn and actor Chris Pratt are currently discussing a standalone Star-Lord spin-off story with his character trying to adapt to Earth. Of course, if you've seen, maybe light spoilers, if you've seen Guardians Volume 3, you know that there is a post-credit teaser that hints at Star-Lord returning to the MCU at some point. Moving on into, of course, some horror news. Insidious fans showed up to the theater this past weekend to welcome the next film in Insidious: The Red Door, which goes back to the film's original cast and story arc, continuing from part 2 with Patrick Wilson directing and starring simultaneously. For the first time, and with the film being made on a modest budget of $16 million, it's awesome to know that the film beat out James Mangold's Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny as far as numbers go for its opening week. The Red Door pulled in over $32 million domestically in just a couple days, which already clears its budget, although some major competition is coming within the next few weeks, so it will be interesting to see if the film can continue the traction or fizzle out this summer. The film has a current Rotten score of 34%, with 82% of audiences actually enjoying the flick thus far. I've been a champion of this franchise since the original, way back in, I want to say 2011, and they, to me, are the gold standard of PG-13 horror. It's a rare exception to the fact that most PG-13 horror is just kind of lackluster. And Insidious has always been kind of a favorite of mine, especially with James Wan kind of being one of the madmen behind it. All right. In some other kind of subculture horror-ish news, recently, the production of Beetlejuice 2 has started with leaks of the new set and photos of Jenna Ortega and Lydia Dietz herself, Winona Ryder, in character. With Michael Keaton, Willem Dafoe, Justin Theroux, Catherine O'Hara, and Monica Bellucci all in the cast, and of course Tim Burton returning to direct, Danny Elfman once again scoring the new film. Safe to say, we might have something special coming down the pipe. Moving on into some comedy type news. The new comedy No Hard Feelings starring Jennifer Lawrence is now on track to be one of the highest grossing R-rated comedies of the past decade, with a current Rotten score of 70%. It might not be a big time movie or blockbuster, but it's a great return for the raunchy comedy subgenre. We don't get them that often. So I'm glad people are going to see this. Moving on, once again, AMC released a statement recently stating that more than 20,000 of their members have purchased Barbie and Oppenheimer tickets to see them as a double feature on opening day. Now, a lot of people out there say that cinema's dying, or it is dead. So, it's nice to see this summer, movies getting some traction, especially important films like this. Shout out to Greta Gerwig, of course, Chris Nolan. Hopefully, they do really well. It seems like they're on track to be both super big hits, and I can't wait to see them myself. In some Batman news, the Batman director Matt Reeves was on the Deakins podcast recently and promised that the film's sequel will be even more ambitious than its predecessor. Very interesting stuff, and I have no doubt that he will come through on that promise. This episode will be dropped on July 11, 2023, which means that the Wonka origin story trailer drops today. So go peep that if you haven't yet. I've seen the trailer now, and it looks very whimsical and in the vein of Fantastic Beasts or even Harry Potter. For fans who might dig that sort of thing. Timothée Chalamet stars in the title role, of course. If you guys see that trailer, reach out and let us know what you think. And that'll be a great segue into what we call our weekly recommendations.
And now it's time for the weekly recommendations.
Opening weekend, I was able to go see Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, which has been out for a couple of weeks now, and as I mentioned in the news, is having a hard time at the box office, having only pulled in just over $247 million against its estimated $300 to $400 million budget. Indy's final outing will likely rely on the home release and streaming to hopefully break even financially. I did see the film, as I said, opening weekend, and had a lot of fun with it, although, of course, doesn't hold a candle to what we all know and love in the original trilogy. Dial of Destiny does fit nicely as a proper send-off in the place of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Phoebe Waller-Bridge is outstanding, and of course Harrison Ford keeps us invested. The film currently sits at a 69% on Rotten. I also got to sit down and watch a little film that was also part of my news called No Hard Feelings. It's the new adult comedy in which a young woman faced with losing her house due to property taxes conspires with the parents of a wealthy introvert in an effort to get their son out of his shell. I wasn't sure how this movie would play out, but it feels fun and fresh and a lot more lighthearted than I thought it would turn out to be. Jennifer Lawrence is great in a rare comedic role, and her co-star Andrew Barth Feldman shines in this John Hughes-esque throwback rom-com. Seems like a lot of people are going out to check this out, and I would recommend it. I think at its core, it seems kind of predictable, but there's a lot of fun stuff in it, and a lot of turns in the story that are good. I like the writing. And it's from Gene Stupnitsky. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. Who is known for, was it Good Boys in 2019? I really enjoyed this. So please, of course, support cinema. Go check out No Hard Feelings. Go check out Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny if you haven't already. Alright guys, so if you like what we're doing, we are a San Diego-based podcast. We release new content each and every week, available on a plethora of platforms. Should be available on most, if not all, major podcast platforms. So if you like what we're doing, give us what you call a 5-star rating and write us a little review if you're feeling extra generous. It really helps us as far as promoting the show and whatnot. We also have a social media presence. whether it be Twitter, if you want to follow us on Twitter, it's at Drop the Mic Pod, or Instagram, where I and my co-host, James Warney, are both attached. You can follow us there at @dropthemic_podcast. Follow us and hit us up if you'd like to be a guest on the show, or if you have if you have a movie focus that you would like us to cover. We love doing that. And I think it would be pretty fun. So hit us up. Shout out to my co-hosts who both couldn't make it this week. So Ryan, if you're listening to this, what's up, man? Hope you're doing well. Can't wait to have you back. And then, of course, James Warney, who is out with an injury. We hope you're recovering, and can't wait to see your return on the show as well. With that being said, until next week, we hope you're enjoying your mid-July. This has been The Swan, signing off, saying good fight and good night.